Okay. Recording is started. Just let me know if you can pass. Okay, sounds good. Okay, guys. Test automation trends in 2022. Welcome to the webinar. And today we will talk a little bit about our school because there are people that didn't hear about us before. Then we will talk in general what is test automation, and you guys could help me with that. What your background, what you know already about test automation. We will talk about test automation trends, couple new things that are happening in 2022, and we will go through job market overview. So, introduction, and first of all I would like to tell about our school. We are Clever Only School. We school with the individual approach, so we usually have a small groups of students, around 10 to 12 people, and in those groups we are working with everyone individually, so everyone could have their own feedback and receive homework review, because in our school we are helping people to switch their career. A lot of students are coming with different backgrounds, like a medical, what else, a financial, marketing, and other background. And then we are helping them to transition to IT industry. And during this transition, everyone needs to learn a lot of new terminology, a new approach of thinking about things and how the business could happen, and everyone has its own speed, and that's why we are paying a lot of attention to every person and what's their progress. Also, we are helping with everyone's resume, finding the job, and we are usually very helpful and with our feedback. And if you asking different questions, we are trying to cover them. By the way, please put in a chat with what. Can you please speak louder? Thank you. Let me adjust my volume. Hello, hello. Is it better to hear? Please let me know. Yes, okay. Sound is good. Awesome. Can you please put in the chat what background do you have right now? With what background you are joining our webinar. So let's see who is here in our webinar today. And while you are responding, I would like to talk about our background. Actually, in our school, there are 3 girls. My name is Lana, and I have more technical background. So first I started working as a manual quality assurance specialist more than 10 years ago. And first, the transition for me was very hard. I have a bachelor's degree in finance and was working in a bank. So when I first decided to switch to IT, the most challenging for me was to learn all the terminology and actually to sell myself during interview process. Once I got my first job, I actually in the first month showed myself very good in a team, and in 3 months I was already switching to automation team, and it was on my side and on the side of the company. We have both agreed that while I'm switching, I'm at the same time learning Python, Selenium framework. Team helps me to adjust to the technology, and then I'm helping them with building front-end automation. It happened maybe a couple months, and then I already started to feel more comfortable myself, and was working for like 5 years in at least 5 years in test automation. Then I switched more to like manager position. I was helping to hire different interns and other software like test automation engineers in our um, team and helping them to build their software. So I was doing code review, and while I got into this industry, I realized that I would like to learn more about technical aspect, and I went to university, DePaul, for master's in computer science. It took me maybe around 2 to 3 years to get my master's degree. I would say it was super challenging to learn about different technologies, but it helped me, first of all, to understand more how the software works, and it helped me to switch to a software engineer position. So it's the same company. I switched from working in a testing team to development team. And then I switched company and was continuing working as software engineer. So that is my background. We have Yulia. Yulia is great in product management. She started working as a business analyst, progresses product manager. Right now she's a director of product management. So she has a lot of experience in building the business processes. Anastasia, she was growing in quality assurance, also started as manual tester, and was growing to quality assurance lead. So she was also like hiring people, providing interviews. So as you see, 3 of us were on the site where we interviewed other people, so we know what to look for in the resume and what questions people are usually asking and how they are making the decision whom to hire and whom is not. So I feel that is very valuable, guys, for you who are planning to switch to this industry. That's great. You have a computer tech, someone who is iPhone. Will be nice if you will provide your name as well. You have only computer technical background. That is pretty good to have at least technical background, so you know some terminology. How about others people? Do you have any background, and are you working right now in IT, or you are just planning to switch and looking around what's happening? Okay, please put in the chat so we could discuss, and it helped me to understand on what slides I need to go into details about some technical terminology and where I could skip and see if we are on the same page. Okay, so while you're writing, we will go over the basics. I don't have technical background. That's good. So I feel like on these webinars, then I will be more detailed, and if you hear something that is totally new for you, or you're not sure what I'm talking about, please don't hesitate to put your question in the chat. I would love to cover that information. So first, what we will discuss is what is test automation. We have testing. Testing is in the most basic definition is verifying or validating software that if it has bugs and if it matches requirements. In other words, when company builds some program, it builds this based on the requirements. Requirements is, in other words, how people see their product, right? For example, if you would like to build some cafe, right? You have a particular vision. What color you would like to have in your cafe, what would you like to have on the menu, how many people you would like to host, from what to what time you would like this cafe to work. And the software is very similar. There are people who are on the business side and they provide requirements, how they see the software will work. And then people who are building the software, developers, they try to put all these requirements in the code. So they will, so business people will see the product that they are expecting. But there are a lot of miscommunication happening in this process, and that's why we have testing team. Testing team is basically taking those requirements, taking software, and checking every particular requirements that it matches some functionality in the software, right? If you will take a look on Amazon website, there are functionality like searching for the particular product, paying with a credit card, deleting products from the cart, and etc. So testers should test all of those functionality, and if something is missing or working not correctly, they should report it to management. What is automation? As you can see, there are a lot of things that should be checked in the application. A lot of features, functionalities, and etc. Automation is, let me go to the definition, is a process when you use special tools to perform testing without involvement of the human. So basically, you create a program that will quickly do what a tester was doing before by hands and will provide the result. Okay, let me see what's in the chat. Okay, got it. So let me show you very quickly. I need to switch. Yeah. How test automation could look. So I have the application I opened right now calls PyCharm. And in PyCharm, I'm writing on Python programming language different scripts. And then I just need to run the script by clicking one button, and when I click it, it will do the work instead of me. Let me demonstrate it for you. Actually, I need to set. Okay. I'm doing right click, run. For example, the test I have right now called successful test registration through dropdown. So basically, this test goes to some website, enters information about the user, and registers a new user. Let's see how it looks. Let's click run. It opens a browser, goes to the website, go to registration page, enters all the information, and verifies that account has been created. You see, it took the program just couple seconds to finish this test. If you do it manually, you usually spend, well, at least couple minutes, right? So automation helps to speed up the process. And another benefit is that you can perform those tests without any involvement of the person. So let me go back to presentation. Can you guys put in a chat plus if you see right now my presentation? Have I switched correctly? Yes. Okay, awesome. So what are the benefits of using automation? Less time consuming. As you already saw, my test, just one test, took maybe a couple seconds to finish. It helps to increase test coverage. Basically, you can automate some tests and still do another test that, for example, new manually. and you can do those processes in parallel. So it's beneficial for the company because they are increasing test coverage during some process. It doesn't require human intervention, so it checks mistakes by itself, and it's a lot of room for professional growth. Yes, there are a lot of areas in test automation where you can go and you can have salary higher than web developers, because actually web developers doesn't have a very big salary, and even comparable with software engineers that are working on back end. By the way, I use right now terminology back end. Can you please put in chat if you know what is that? If not, I will provide a moment. So, API. It's part of backend. That's correct. Also on the backend, we usually have application divided in two parts. Front end is what the user faces, right? You go to the Amazon website, you see the features of the product, you see their prices, different buttons. This is front end, and usually it's written on languages like JavaScript, Java, Python, but JavaScript is huge. Some new frameworks appear that could be written in TypeScript, on applications, on mobile applications, there are their own languages. But when you click on the button or click on the image, the request through APIs that goes to the server, and on the server another code is running, and this is backend. Backend considered more complicated, and you need to know more complicated languages. Java, C++, Python as well, could be written backend, and others. So in any program, usually kind of two sides. Okay. So let's talk about test automation trends. Okay. So one trend that is started to grow a couple years ago and is still growing is performance automation testing. Well, there are two aspects of this trend: performance testing and automation testing. Let's split it into parts. Performance testing usually checks the speed, response time, reliability, resource usage of the application, right? This performance automation testing checks that by leveraging automation. Many companies are in need for full pipeline automation beyond just functional automation, including activities like security, accessibility testing, and performance. So what is that about, right? Performance became very popular recently because even developers learned how to test their functionality. What I showed you right now, this application is more functional testing. We are entering some data and checking that the website working as expected. So we are checking its functionality. But right now, we all care about how quick the websites, for example, responded. If we can rely on different applications, right? If we can grow application quickly. So for that, this became a very huge topic recently, and a lot of companies started to move automation to performance testing. Can you put in the chat if you are familiar in general with performance testing? I know a lot of people doesn't have technical background, but at the same time, I know that we have a lot of our students who are joining our webinar, so I would expect some people. Okay. So, okay. Let me provide another example. You have a car, right? The car should have functions. It should increase the speed when you push on gas pedal. It should stop when you push on a brake, right? So this is functionality, but there is a performance. But performance is, for example, how quickly the car will accelerate when you push on gas button, or how quickly it stops when you push on brake. So it checks not only functionality, but how quickly your machine responds to user's action. We can take this analogy and transition it to software. And in software, what we are checking? We have actually two types of tests: load testing and stress testing. Load testing is when we check how the applications goes through a gradual increase of users as well as number of transactions to reach a target load. So you have a new website and you're expecting that it will handle 300 users at the same time, and the response time will be less than a second to launching your page. So then you have a test that gradually increase users. So one, it reaches once, and 2, 3, 4, and it's going up to 300 users. And on 300 users logged in at the same time, you are verifying that the response time is as expected. Stress testing. Stress testing. It's when you place a system or application under higher than expected traffic load. So developers can see how well the system works above its expected capacity limits. As we were using our previous example, we have applications that should handle 300 users pretty good with a response time less than 1 second. Now, what happens if at one time there will be 1,000 users or 10,000 users? Will our application crash or it will still work? So that considered stress testing. Does it make sense for you guys right now? Can you put plus in the chat so I could understand if you got a broader picture? Okay, plus. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So that will be one trend. So performance testing is where we are kind of putting some kind of load or stress on our application, and right now is a trend to try to automate it. When we are talking about trends, what's interesting about that is only what is coming. So in next couple years, we are expecting more jobs on the market that will require automation testers with this kind of background. When we are talking about testing tools are not catching up so great with trends. They are one step back. So right now you will probably not find sites like very good tools that perform exactly automation testing on performance, right? There are some testing tools that are already known for performance testing. Do you know some of them? Put in the chat if you know some of them. If not, I will put them. Okay, performance testing tools like JMeter, Load Runner. I don't know if you heard about them. They are still pretty manual. So automation tools are still kind of developing. What we were doing in our company for performance for automation testing, we were using Selenium front-end scripts, and we were launching 100 windows at the same time in the application to see that they're still launching data. Okay, so that was our performance automation testing. In the different companies, it could be using different tools. Depends on the application, but you could still use tools like Selenium, even for performance testing. The next trend is API security testing. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. When I described before, we have front end and back end, and I said when the user clicks something on the front, like button, the request comes to the back end, and the receiver who thinks what should happen when the user clicks on that button. So this communication between front end and back end happens through API, Application Programming Interface. If we are talking about well, in general, right, interface helps different parts to communicate. And if we will talk about example outside of the software engineer and take, for example, the car again, the car has very nice interface. It has steering wheel, right? It has pedals, and when we turn our wheel to the right, the car responds and turn to the right. So inside the car there is the mechanism that knows when we use this interface, right? Something that faces us, it transfers the signal to the machine and it turns to the right. So interface just helps different pieces of the software to communicate, even though they could be written on completely different languages. Security. Security testing identifies vulnerabilities, hazards, and dangers in a software program. So before we have separate security testing that was checking just if the user's passwords can be leaked or the user's credit cards can be accessed. Right now, in high demand to check API security testing. Why is that? API usually have some called endpoints. This is kind of URLs or in others, in comparison, if you have like some ball, right, and you have some arrow, right, and this arrow you can focus this ball, and if you can access this arrow very easily and destroy the program, it makes our software like a ball very vulnerable, right? So we need to test that our data like in our ball is secure, that no one, like hackers and other people, could not use any tricks to access the data. And it becomes super popular. So API automation testing was in increase and demand for the last couple of years, and it's still very popular. So if you know how to test API with automation, you will get higher salary. But right now, also we'll think how you would test the security of API. Usually it's if you're like doing some kind of request. By the way, now some of you were studying in our school. Do you know different API requests that exist? There are four main HTTP requests. Can you put it in the chat if you know them? Plus, minus, if plus, maybe you can name them. Nobody knows. Okay, it's post request, get request, announce others, update, delete. Okay, put plus inside in the chat if you want me to show you where at any website you can check those requests. It's actually a cool tool. If you will learn from this webinar and you can talk about that on the resume, you will already have a high chance to get this job. Plus. Okay, that's cool. I wasn't planning that, but I just realized that will be cool to give you. Let me open some website. Can you put in the chat class if you could see Amazon.com? I just opened it. Okay. So what you need to do, you need to click Ctrl+Shift+I, and it's called Developer Tools, will be opened. And in Developer Tools, you need to navigate to Network. And in Network, you will see requests. And here you see the request method post, get. So post and get are like 95% of all the requests. Post sends some data to the server, get request, like gets some data from the server. And if you can see here, it has some domain file that it tries to access or post. So that's where you can check API requests that come in from our front end, from our website to the server, to the back. Cool, right? So now you will know something new. That's good. So basically, API security testing is testing that using those URLs and SEC file names, domains, the hacker will not get extra data, something about user or some confidential information, or he could even break the whole program, right? So that's important to check. And next, cloud native testing. Cloud native testing. Can you put in the chat plus if you know what is cloud in software testing? Obviously, we all know what clouds in the weather. I get put plus if you know what is clouds are used for, and minus if you're not really familiar with. Okay, clouds are used to actually provide different services for the company. You can put in the cloud the whole server. So for example, what I showed in Amazon front end, website is running in your browser, right? But the backend server is running on a cloud, and cloud can be used from anywhere in the world. As you can see on this picture, you can store in the cloud pictures. Here's an example that I provided when you have a website, you have something front end, it sends requests to the cloud, you can store music there, you can access it through different devices, you can store different passwords, you can send emails and do any kind of communication. So clouds are used more and more every year, and in clouds, especially popular AWS. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. It's a huge giant in software engineer, and a lot of companies are using AWS. Actually, in 2021, the usage of clouds increased in 37%. Can you imagine? And it's not the end. So more and more companies will move to clouds. And at the same time, in the last few months of 2021, AWS went down a few times, and it caused significant outages for companies, including Hulu, Netflix, and Twitch. So what's happening? Cloud run by another company, if connection is broken and if the service went down, nobody can access nothing on Netflix, Hulu, Twitch, and any other website who depends on that. That's why in the recent years, it became critical to test dependency on the clouds. Especially, it's called testing when servers are going down, one servers, and how good the software is switching to use another servers. What's happening? Company right now buys, for example, 2 servers in 2 different clouds. For example, cloud that is in Chicago, and another cloud that is New York. And in New York, it's called backup server. Backup, it means we will use it when something happens with our main server. So as a tester, you can test when you're disconnecting from main server, and the software should handle disconnection and quickly reconnect to the second server and check that the data is still good. It usually happens during weekends or at night when people are not using software, so you can test those functionality. So from all those strengths, what we can say is that software reliability is a key problem, was a key problem during 2021. And learning more about main words that we heard today: performance testing, security testing, cloud testing, will help exactly you to be in a high demand for just in software testing and as well in test automation. Okay, cool. So right now I would like to talk about job market overview. We are talking a lot about test automation testing, but it could sound for you complicated, but let's see what are the rewards for your hard work. And in general, the average salary for just general test automation engineer around USA is $100,000 per year, or $50 per hour. You see that the most is paid in New York, in California will be also very high salary. I would say that actually in New York, I know a couple of people that are getting 150,000 for automation testing, and as well in California. In Chicago, it's from 100 to 120 easily, and maybe in other states that like have lower salaries, you can get even less. So that's actually a pretty big salaries. And what's the benefit of that? That nobody actually requires to have from you a degree in technical industry. It's more important that you know how to do your job. You know how to test the application, you know how the testing works, what kind of tests you can do, like what we already discussed with you, performance testing, API testing, security testing. You know at least one tool and it will be enough for you to get the job. Actually, in 2021, it was still considered test automation jobs are in a huge demand. So there are more job offers than resumes. So if you have skills for test automation testing, you will be invited for a lot of interviews, and you will get multiple offers. Some of our students are getting multiple offers and they have to choose between what positions they would like to get into. Isn't it exciting? We can actually look right now with you how many jobs are on the market exactly in your particular area. Let's do that. It will be some fun. Can you put in a chat your zip code? And based on the zip code, we will take a look how many jobs open right now in your area. Thank you, Oksana. And switch to another view. This is one of the popular websites, dice.com, if you're not familiar with it, and it's fantastic automation. Shops. Okay, employment type. We have full-time 1,000 positions, part-time 14,000, contract 1,000. Third class, I'm not really familiar with that. So that's how my jobs is just in Atlanta. And for example, this job was posted 6 days ago. And I always like to go over description to see what they are asking for. Tester automation on Java. Actually, what I want to say, if you know one programming language, Java, Python, or JavaScript, you can still apply on those positions because it's easy to switch between different languages if you know one. It doesn't matter. This is contract job, and they pay $60 per hour, 60 plus, so you can even get $70 per hour. It's great. Must have Java, strong focus on technical hands-on experience. RESTful API, that's what we discussed, right? Cucumber, SQL database, understanding of WS. You see, guys, we are already on top of the trends. Understanding of depots, CI/CD, Jenkins, Maven. Secondary or good to have Python, Selenium. So already we just clicked one position and must have API automation, right? So you see already here mentioned 2 trends that we just discussed with you. and some other stuff here that I would like to cover a little bit later in my presentation. So let me switch to my presentation. Okay, there are a couple more comments. It is discouraging when they ask for multiple years of experience. How to get a job right after the course without any background in the industry? On our course, we are providing internships. So you will do the project. And I know it sounds very discouraging to have 5 to 7 years of experience, but I should tell you that it should not discourage you. Because all of those positions, they are asking what would they would like to have the most. Imagine yourself in the shoes of the person who hired. You are running business, and of course, you would like to have the most awesome person who's just talented in programming and automation and knows everything, and pays him a little bit, right? Not so much, because it will be great for your business. So when they are creating job descriptions, and I'm telling you it for you from my experience, they will try to put the maximum and a little bit top. Why they are doing that? Because they want to check if you are enthusiastic enough and you are willing to take this job and try your hard to match it. So if you see 5 years of experience, you should apply to that, because there are still chance that you will be invited to that interview. If you see that you are matching job description on 60 or 70%, you are already good to go, because not a lot of people actually have this experience. As I told you before, job opening, like there are a lot of jobs right now and not so many specialists, so they tend to put a lot in their job descriptions, but they would maybe receive 1 or 2 resumes, so they still need to hire people who will do their job. That's a little bit different with manual testers. In manual testers, there are actually pretty a lot of people who want to go to manual testing. It's not super hard. It doesn't require any technical knowledge, more understanding of the processes, and offers are the same. So for manual testing, you need to match 80% of job description. For test automation engineer, it's different. So that's the situation, guys. Everyone is trying to show off, not only people who are trying to find a job, but as well companies, and that they would like to hire the most, like if they will find someone who really have 7 years of experience and everything, yeah, they will consider this position. But at the same time, a lot of people will maybe ask for higher salary, and if that's going out of their budget, then they will prefer the candidate that has less experience but will want to work for a little bit less. It's all negotiation. Okay, let's check another view. So, how to become a test automation engineer? First of all, you need to learn the basics of testing. That's important because we already discussed a lot of words that even manual tester knows. He knows what is performance testing, he knows what is API testing, he knows what is security testing. He's just doing it manually, right? You need to know what is software development life cycle, software testing life cycles, what is bug, and much more. Without that, it will be hard even on the interview, because they will definitely ask how you were performing testing. So the base, the foundation is required. And then based on this foundation, you're building your house, and how tall and beautiful is this house, it will depend how much effort you will put in it. Next step is to learn basic coding concepts. I will tell you that basic coding concepts are the same in different languages. You will need in any language the same testing type, data types, the same operations and other stuff. That's why even on job descriptions that we just looked on you, they have Java or Python, right? Because as I said before, it's actually easier to switch from one language to another language once you will learn basics of coding concepts. And then you need to learn how to understand applications, and that's a little bit to know how to understand what is front end, what is back end, how to use dev tools that I a little bit showed for you today, what is HTML code. These will be even useful for manual testers in general, but more for automation testers, because you see the complexity of technology is increasing in automation industry. And then you will try to implement a simple test with automation script. Automation script is a couple lines of code that will verify one functionality. I actually showed you in the beginning this test that I have written, and then it opened web browser, entered information, and verified that I created the user. That was one automation script. So when you will learn that, you already put it live to the job and help them to increase the coverage. I would also say that usually when you're hired in a company, you don't have to build everything from scratch. You usually come and they have already some test automation coverage. So first month or two, you will actually learn what they have, and it will help you to speed up, and running that test will help you to understand how their scripts are written and then create similar. So maybe first steps will be a little bit harder, but in the end, you will get a great salary, and this is a job that will be in demand for sure for the next 10 years. And in addition to high salary, usually software companies have good benefits. Health benefits, you will have good time offs. They have other perks like free breakfast, free presents, and similar. Of course, it's more efficient if your education progress will be structured by a detailed program and supervised by experienced instructors. And especially if you have some fun during this process. Because as I mentioned before, technology is growing, and if you are learning by yourself, I have this experience. Sometimes it's super frustrating to proceed, because if you see some error, you just don't know how to respond to that. Thanks for the place where I have very supportive team, and they were helping me to understand different errors, and based on these errors I could learn more, and I was progressing with my automation. But if I would be just by myself and would study online, I will say I would not succeed so much. So that's important to have people on your side that went through this process and help you to get through the tough times. And you will have in the beginning tough times. It's the most important to learn how to resolve them. That's one of the skills of test automation engineers. It's 100%. You will have the moments when you will feel that you stuck and you don't understand. And at that moment, it's important to talk to your instructor, tuition peer or someone else, a friend, and ask him, hey, what do you think I'm doing here wrong? And together you can resolve the issue. And in 100%, it will be very simple, like synthetic issue. It happened so many times with me. So it's important to have another pair of eyes on your progress and code. So in our curriculum, we in our test automation program, we are learning Python, and we are teaching you how to create scripts that I showed you using Selenium. Selenium is a tool for front-end automation and mostly for functional testing. We will do it in PyCharm. We will learn with you how to generate reports, how to use Jenkins. Why I'm mentioning it, you saw before in the job descriptions that they are asking for Jenkins. And this is a trend that is going already for a couple of years. So that's why we included in our program Jenkins. In BIP package, we are also including API testing with automation. And as you already saw, that's also a trend that just recently started to pick up and will be in the next couple of years. Using Git is just the must for testers, and behave. Behave is a cucumber that also was in job description, as you saw. I just pick up one, and this is the most that everyone is asking right now. So actually, if you see right now, it's like 100% what you need to know to apply to the jobs that we saw before. And if you open every second job, you'll have the same tools because it's hard on the market. We are actually trying to create our programs based on trends and what companies are asking the most in their job description. So you will have the most updated resume and tools in your toolbox. So we have 3 packages for our test automation course. We have Expert, Master, and VIP. In every program, we have individual homework feedback. We have personal mentorship, so we have a chat where you can ask your mentor any questions, and if you stuck somewhere, you can ask for the help. We have live sessions. We have resume review and access to the material for at least 6 months. With Master, you will have access to 9 months, and you will have an addition internships that you can put in your resume, and it can be used as your experience. Also in Master, you will have interview simulator session. Also, you will learn Jenkins in Master program. VIP including addition API, and you could have individual classes with your instructor if you need. For example, if you're really stuck somewhere, you can schedule a call with your instructor and go through the problem you particularly have, and you will have access for materials for 12 months. So during this time, you can revisit some information, get updates on the program, and have continuous support from your mentors. The package's cost is on the screen. It's our usual prices, but for you guys who joined our webinar, we are providing 1,000 off. And you can use this discount before the start of our program that will be on the Sunday next week. I suppose it's April 2nd. I will double check until April 3rd. So not this Sunday, but the week after. And you can apply this discount, and then you will have a pretty good prices for this program. What I should say, you will not find so low prices nowhere. I don't know why we are still doing those prices, but you can prepare yourself. But what I should say that this program is 4 months and then internship. So it's a long commitment for you, and if you can't pay right away, we have payment plans when you can split your payment for 3 periods and pay for 3 months, obviously, because not a lot of people could pay right away. So we have this ability. And there are a couple of testimonials of what our students are saying about our programs. I would say that we have students that came from different backgrounds. We have people that doesn't have technical backgrounds. We have people who finished bachelor's degree in computer science, were working as software developers, DevOps, but then they realized that they will have more freedom with test automation. They decided to learn test automation and learn tools in test automation, and they're happy with their job. We have people that have hardware background, and they are also excited to start this automation job because it pays the same amount, but the workload is easier. So people from a different background are finding beneficial to switch to test automation. We have also financial support. It's called income share agreement. This is for the people who cannot apply to our previous programs, new students, and then you will pay 500 initial fee, and you will be enrolled in VIP. And when you will find the job, then you will pay 12% from your salary for 12 months or 15% for 6 months. If you will not find a job at all, there are no obligations. This is a great deal. It's our contact information, email, if you have a couple questions, and our phone number. And now let's switch to Q&A. If you have any questions, how long is the course? As I said before, 4 months and 1 month internship. So it will be 5 months because as a program is intense, especially if you didn't have any technical background. I would say we are switching right now to have couple live sessions during our program. So we will have 2 probably calls during the week with students when where we will discuss material, we will go through homework, and you will have some recorded materials that you can take notes from in your notebook, and you will have also knowledge base, obviously homeworks, and you will get after every homework your individual review. So it's pretty full course. They are mostly like you will go to the university. How many groups have already graduated from this first? We started this program in last year March, so we just finished the 2nd group, and this is the 3rd building group, exactly for test automation. We had before manual program only, and we saw how people were interested in test automation, so we decided to add it to our program. If you have any other questions, you can also call us and we can go through the questions and discuss them. will you do interviews with any of your graduates who already found the job? Yeah, we are usually doing them, and we are adding them to our YouTube channel. I can send you the link right now in the chat. Please give me a couple seconds to get the link, and I could send in general what we have on our channel, and you can find here some interviews to our students. Please.
Hey guys, in recent years, it has happened.
Yes, people already found the job in the first program, 75%, and in the second group they are in a job search right now, because we just finished it in February, so they are going through interview process right now. A couple of them have already multiple interview processes, and one received job offers, but he will start in the next months. Obviously, we are helping them right now to go through interview process. Yeah, I sent it just link to our chat. So guys, if you don't have any questions, let me remind you that you have coupon, and I will send it right now in the chat. And I will send tomorrow the recording, the link is a recording of our webinar, and coupon as well. So you will have it on your record. You can, as I said, use it before the start of the program. Once the program will start, we will not accept the coupon anymore. And the next course will start probably in half a year, because we are working with every group for like mostly half a year. So as I said, 5 months, but then we have this period of like enrolling in new program, catching up with some students, helping them to go through the interview process. So it's mostly like half a year. So we'll see what will be in half a year. Maybe we will move to a new phase, and there will be something new at that time. Right now, I would like to say thank you to everyone who joined me on this Thursday night to listen about test automation trends. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. You are welcome to write us anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, email, just call, text, and if you have any questions, we will be happy to chat with you. Thanks everyone.